Meeting of the Wayne Westland Community School Board of Education is brought to order on Monday, January 14th, 2019. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to welcome each and every one of you here this evening. Your presence reflects your interest in public education and is greatly appreciated. At this time, I'd like to call up Emily Grace Ledford and Addison Schaaf from Adams Upper Elementary School. They're going to lead us in the pledge. Okay, Ms. Hines is going to read your bios, okay?
My name is Emily Grace Ledford. I am 10 years old and I'm in the 5th grade at Adams Upper Elementary School. I love to do gymnastics and cheerleading. I want to learn how to draw better. I am most proud of my reading and writing. I read at the middle school level and I write very well. My favorite book is Ghosts. My mom and my stepdad have been my strongest influence because they always have been there for me. I want to be the kind of person that donates and helps homeless people when in need because they don't deserve to be on the street. That is wonderful. Next, we have Miss Addison Schaaf. I am 11 years old. I'm in the 6th grade at Adams Upper Elementary. My favorite book is Wonder. Little book. I'm really good at playing the violin. I want to learn how to be a better piano player. I am proud of my maturity. My level has gone up because I love younger kids. Maturity helps me be better with them. I want to be kind and loving person that everyone likes. My family has a strong influence in my life. They support me in everything I do. When I grow up, I like to be a baker, and I like to have a chance to have my own business. Awesome. I have some beautiful awards for you all. Okay, Miss Emily, which one is Emily? Hi, Emily, love your shirt. We'd like to give you this on behalf of the Wayne Westland Board of Education. This is recognition for leading in the Pledge of Allegiance. And who did you bring with you today?
My dad and my little brother.
Awesome. And is your principal here today as well?
Yeah.
Hi. And we have Miss Addison Schaaf. And we'd like to give you this on behalf of the Wayne Westland Board of Education. So thank you so much for doing the Pledge of Allegiance. And who did you bring with you today?
I brought my mom and my dad, my brother, my great grandma, my brother.
And where are they in the audience?
Oh.
And thank you for coming today. You brought your principal as well. Awesome. So thank you so much. Jenny's going to take you to the back so you can take your pictures. And you can follow her right. Her right away.
Okay. Moving on to item number 214.18, roll call. Ms. Hines?
We have Mr. Cox,
Present.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Present.
Dr. Weaver,
Present.
Ms. Hines here, Mr. Neal,
Present.
Ms. Medell.
I'm here.
Ms. Walker,
Present.
Ms. Director Charles 7-0. Everyone is here.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 215.18, the swearing in of the new board members. Dr. Holt?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. So our first board member is going to be Mr. Mark Neal, who will be sworn in by his lovely wife, Mrs. Kelly Neal.
Where shall I go to do this?
Daughter?
Right down there.
Or
is daughter.
I'm sorry, Donna. I said Kelly. I thought Patty and said Kelly all at the same time.
Patty was supposed to be.
All right, come
So you're
on
gonna
in.
stand right here in the middle.
Come stand right here in the middle. Am I supposed to stand next to him? or
No,
I didn't think so.
no, you're fine.
Okay.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
I will faithfully discharge the duties of
office of member of the Board of Education
office of member of the Board of Education
of Wayne Westland Community Schools, Wayne County, Michigan,
of Wayne Westland Community Schools, Wayne County, Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Welcome, Mr. Neal.
Thank you.
And next will be Dr. Weaver, sworn in by Mr. LeBlanc, Westland City Clerk.
We're gonna make you hold that.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I, Fred Weaver,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and to faithfully discharge the duties of
and to faithfully discharge the duties of
member of the Wayne Westland Board of Education
member of the Wayne Westland Board of Education
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my
So
ability.
help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
And welcome back for another 6 years. So we're going to move on to item number 216.18, election of officers. Do you guys need me to read the policy to refresh your memory?
Yes.
Board officer election process. Consistent with policy 1000.01, election of officers of the board shall elect a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer on the annual basis as follows. A, election of officers shall be majority of the full board. Where no such majority exists on the first ballot vote, a second vote shall be cast for the two candidates who receive the greatest number of ballot votes. B, except for those appointed to fill a vacancy, officers shall serve for 1 year and until their respective successors are elected and begin their terms. So, we're going to start off with the office of president. Nomination for president?
Madam, I nominate Shauna Walker.
So question, do I put this right here, right?
Yes. Okay. Any other nominations? Is that all right? Go.
I'll second it.
Okay. So we need a second for each office. Okay. So it's moved by Mr. Buckalow and second by Mrs. Madell. And then we go to the next nomination, or we do a vote first? I don't remember.
We've done it both ways, so.
How do you guys want to do it? Do you want to do the nominations, or do you want to do the votes for each one?
Next nomination,
Okay.
please.
Next nomination?
Then I would nominate David Cox,
Okay.
and then we go on the second line or the first.
And do I have a support?
Support.
Or
Okay. All right. Any other nominations?
I nominate Melody Hines.
Run, President.
We're still on president. Is this for
Yep.
president? Okay. Any second? Any second? Okay. That motion falls. That nomination falls. Any other nominations before we close nominations? Okay. So, for office of president, we have, I accept. Mr. Cox, do you accept?
Yes.
Okay. So, number one, for president, Shauna Walker, and do a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Madell,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
No.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
No.
Ms. Hines, no. Mr. Neal,
No.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
so 3 yes, 4 no.
Congratulations, Mr. Cox.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we're gonna go ahead and finish out the which
Sure.
cause, and then we'll take a 5 and we can switch, okay?
All right.
Nominations for vice president.
Madam President, I would like to nominate Melanie Hines
Okay,
as vice president.
Support.
all right. And that was supported by you, Mr. Cox? Okay. All right. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, nominations is closed. You're win by acclamation.
Thank you.
Okay. Secretary, I'd like to nominate Mrs. Madell.
Thank you.
Any second? For secretary? Okay, Mr. Buckaloo? All right, any other nominations for secretary?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Neal.
Okay, any second? Second for secretary for Mr. Neal?
Yes. Second.
All right, any other nominations? All right. So starting with Mrs. Madell, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Neal?
No.
Oh, I mean, you know what? I'm sorry. I need to go back.
Okay.
Do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Neal, do you accept the
Yes.
nomination? Okay. Now, you can go.
Okay, Mr. Neal?
No.
Ms. Madell?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
No.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
No.
Ms. Hines? No. Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Okay. 4 no, 3 yes.
Okay. All right. Congratulations, Mr. Neal.
Thank you.
Nominations for treasurer.
I'll nominate Fred.
Okay.
Support.
I'm sorry, I can't hear over here.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not hearing everything.
Okay. So do you need me to go back on any of them?
No, I meant it to get them when you started talking, but just can you guys speak a little bit louder?
Okay. So they just nominated Dr. Weaver for treasurer.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other nominations?
I nominate Mr. Buckaloo.
I second. All right, any other nominations? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Ask what they accept.
Oh, thank you.
I accept
You accept.
nomination.
Mr. Buckaloo, do you
I
accept?
accept.
Yes, they both accept, so we'll start with Mr. Weaver first, Dr. Weaver first.
Yes,
Is that for you?
yes, for Mrs. Hines.
Okay.
And then Mr. Neal?
No.
Okay. Ms. Madell?
No.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo?
No.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
No. Congratulations, Mr. Buckaloo.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to take a 5 minutes and then we'll switch into our different positions, okay? All right. Where do you want us at, Mr. President?
So
And do you want, I guess the question, where do you want your treasurer to stay
My
there or
treasurer
you?
can stay where,
Okay.
All right, so where am I going?
So,
Where are you going? Where am I going?
I don't know.
You're going session. Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is 217.18, recognitions and presentations. Dr. Holt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would first of all like to take the recognition of the Board of Education trustees and the Board of Education president. You can see this information on pages 9 and 10 of your packet. There is a resolution from the Wayne County School District Board of Education members, signed by Linda Jackson, Board President, and Dr. Liepa, Superintendent. And so you have that. And then we also have the recognition from the, on the back side of that is the rest of the Wayne County Regional Education Service Agency, so that's the rest of Wayne RESA recognition. Then we also have School Board Recognition Month certificates from the MASB, and so those go to, I could just like hand them down so you guys can just take your own and pass it,
Okay.
if that's okay, but there's one for each of you. And I'll let you do that one for the future. Thank you. And then here is the presentation for the last year as president to Mrs. Shauna Walker. You want me to come down here and do it?
Shauna.
Okay.
So thank you, Madam
Mellen, do you
President.
want more?
No, I didn't think so.
Huh?
We didn't do it this formal last year.
Well, normally, yes, we let you slide because you were new.
Sounds like it's all just handed and done. Thank you. But in recognition for your service to the Wayne Westland Schools Board of Education for the 2018 school year, we give you this plaque and gavel. Thank you so much, Madam President.
It was a pleasure.
All right.
Any further action from the board on that issue, Dr. Holt?
I don't think so. That was it. That was all I had. Oh, I take that back. You each have a beautiful basket behind you in recognition and celebration of Board of Education Month. This is special thanks to Chef Tony and the kids at our CTE class for just all the hard work. It's a lot of work to be a board member, and I have to say it's additionally a lot of hard work being a board member for me as a superintendent, because I'm a little, I know I give a lot of information, and so they have a lot that they have to read through, a lot that they have to attend, so it's a lot of work.
And it's also a lot of work being Chef Tony.
That is true.
Thank you, Chef Tony.
So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Holt. Next item on the agenda, 218.18, is citizens' comments.
Oh, back up, we have the second presentation, the drama
Oh.
club presentation. You want me just
Excuse
to
me.
roll right into that?
Please.
Okay, so next we have coming to us is a presentation that I requested. I found out, yes, I know when our kids go out of state, but I never really also hear about the experiences once they go out of state to any kind of conference or field trip or anything like that. And as these students were out at, and they're going to tell you about where they went, I received so many, even personal, either via Facebook or text messages, just saying thank you for the experience and telling me about what they'd experienced. And especially since it's something I want to do one day, I wanted to have Mrs. Sullivan and her team come and just share a little bit about what our drama students did over, well, it wasn't a break, it was actually during the school year. After Thanksgiving. So with that, I would call up Mrs. Katie Sullivan and her team of students to tell us a little bit about, tell us a little bit about your experience.
I'm going to pass this around so you guys can flip through the gavel.
Okay.
Again, I'm Katie Sullivan. I'm the drama director at Wayne Memorial, for those of you who I do not already know. Again, in November of 2018, I had the privilege of taking a group of drama students to Chicago, Illinois. We woke up early the Thursday morning after Thanksgiving and took the train into the city. And while we were there, we did some sightseeing, including Millennium Park, and the Cloud Gate structure, also known as Chicago's Bean, which is a really well-known architectural structure there in Chicago. we were able to go on a college tour where we visited one of Chicago's amazing performing arts colleges. And we also, of course, had the highlight of our trip to see two of Chicago's Broadway musical productions. So I was really fortunate to have a great group of students there with me, two of whom are here with me right now. So they would like to share some of their thoughts and experiences on the trip. So I'll introduce to you Nadia Finley and Taylor Dunn.
All right, well, hello. I want to start off again by saying thank you. I'm just going to start off this real quick by saying this was such an amazing experience. I would have never had the experience to go see Hamilton or Miss Saigon, one of my favorite musicals, unless it was for whoever helped out or that to help out. So we just wanted to point out some things that were that we loved during the trip. One of them that I actually really am thankful for is we didn't take a bus around the city. We walked around. So like even on one of our days, and it's at the back of our little photo thing, we walked 10 miles in one day. And I just loved walking in Chicago instead of like driving around and not really be able to experience the opportunity to walk and sightsee Chicago. So that was really great.
Yeah, even though I made the mistake of wearing heels the first day, I went through it, it was all right, even though the blisters, but it was worth it, because at the end of the day, it's a trip that I couldn't imagine taking, like, if I had my own personal self. I was lucky enough my 8th grade year to take a Chicago trip when I went to Franklin Middle School, and it was like the 8th grade fun, like, out-of-state trip, and looking back at that, I did see the Bean, and I did go see the sightseeing parts, and I went to the tower there as well when I went that year. But compared to this time, I just felt, and I don't know if it was maybe because obviously I grew up, but I don't know if I just felt like more independent and as an adult, and it kind of like as I am a senior and going into college next year, it kind of made me like feel like more confident that I'll be okay doing stuff on my own. Like, for example, for food, we did have, like, money vouchers, but it was also the fact that we had to, personally, as, like, whoever you're sitting with in the group, we had to figure it out, like, this is what you bought, this is the tax, this is your tip, and we, like, it was kind of like a personal education thing where we were like, okay, this is how we're going to have to do this as, like, a group and figure out who's getting their money back, who's, like, tipping more, who bought more, and it was
struggle.
Yeah, there was some like, obviously because there was like younger students that were like not usually like money related, but it was still like a really nice experience with that. And it was also the fact that we went to visit Roosevelt University, which is a really high known drama and arts school. And that's a university that it's so beautiful there, and I can't imagine being able to travel there myself with my parents because of their busy schedules and jobs and money issues. So I feel like being able to like go there, especially like on a tour and we had a student that one of our friends from the drama program that went there last year that graduated. She was able to kind of give us like personal info about the school, which was very nice as well.
I also wanted to mention that we do get to tour other colleges in our school and have the opportunity through like Upward Bound or just through counseling and stuff like that. But it's mostly focused on like academic wise, like you go there to look at a STEM program or business and law, and with the trip to Chicago, we were able to see a drama view of it in theaters. Not many people get to experience and go to a school to go see a theater point of view of a college.
Yeah, and there's also the shows where it's probably the highlight of the whole trip was the two shows. Seeing Hamilton and Miss Saigon was honestly life-changing for I think all of us. It was like I'm pretty sure that all of us cried at least one point during both the shows. It was just like very moving to actually, because like we're used to seeing things on like YouTube and like seeing on social media the shows, because we're very like theater driven. We love musicals, we love listening to soundtracks and stuff, but be able to like be in those seats and like see the sets and everything, it was just honestly, I can't put it into words how amazing that was. It was honestly like life-changing how like being able to be there and see like the cast and like the songs and everything.
Yeah, it was just amazing to me because 2 years back I listened to Hamilton, And I was like, oh, I'm never going to be able to see this show. It's like
We actually
$300.
planned to go there.
Yeah. Planned.
Our like
Did not.
freshman year, we
Yeah.
planned. We're like, yeah,
Not
we're gonna
work out.
go see Hamilton, and then we're like, oh, it's like $300 to go there. So we were just like, probably not. And then it's like funny enough, like 3 years later, we actually were able to go
As soon
together.
as I stepped in that building, I started bursting out in tears, and I was just like, thank you so much. Like, those shows were amazing. And theater is something that is like really personal to me because I joined my sophomore year for the drama department in Wayne Memorial, and it was something that like really changed my life. Like I was more outgoing. I was able to express myself in like speeches or anything like this much better. And it was just something that I just really love to do. And even though I may not like want to like major in theater in college, it is something that I hold dear in my heart and definitely want to keep maybe doing on the side and listening or watching too.
Yeah, I don't think any of us that went had like a bad moment during that trip, even when there were like the long train ride, or if we had like some issues at restaurants. It was like, I think just maybe because we had a really great group as well, like we like were all like uplifting, like we would laugh at the bad things that would happen and be like, oh, we still got other things to do. Like it was kind of like an ongoing trip that's just like was very uplifting, and it really, and especially with this like a whole hard work of applying to colleges, it kind of lifted the stress off. We were just like, for a good amount of time, we didn't have to worry about like worried about our future, but just a little bit. We were just kind of like a little stress-free, kind of like a nice relaxing time to take like our peers and just kind of like reminisce like the moments and everything. And that was really nice. And we also have an upcoming show, Sister Act, which is coming in April. So if you guys are interested, there's more information to come later on. But we are after the Chicago trip, we're really, really excited and like very ready for this show and to like take all this like energy we have from Chicago and kind of put it into this production that we're gonna have in the spring.
Yep. So you guys are all invited. Hope to see you there. In Miss Saigon, we had the opportunity to talk to some of the cast members, and this, I was like, I can't even explain the feelings I was feeling that day, but we were able to ask them questions like, how did you come to the place you are today? Like, how are you in the show? And they signed my playbill, not bragging, but I was able to get some of their autographs and stuff like that, and it was just, they were just so kind, and it was such an amazing experience, and I just loved it.
Yeah, it was something that was very eye-opening to, I think, a lot of the students, because one of the actors said that he went to college but nowhere near drama or theater. He's always been like kind of like involved in the productions when he went to high school, and like he did a couple things outside of college, like the Black Box Theater like productions in the community, but he was never thinking of like, I'm gonna be in Broadway, I'm gonna go to Broadway one day. And just that thought, because I know I don't really want to major in theater, but I know for sure that I still want to continue to do it in community theaters and still like keep that passion going with theater. And just to hear that kind of gave me hope that maybe like in my wildest dreams I could probably and possibly be on Broadway one day, or either it be a play or a musical, rather I be just, you know, ensemble or like anything. It just kind of made me like think that like you don't have to have a necessary path straight towards drama to be able to do that in your life and still love it.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
We're absolutely thrilled that you had that opportunity, and I'm sure we're all hoping that one day we're able to go to the lectern and speak the way both of you have just spoken. It has really been a joy to have you here tonight. Thank you so very much, and keep an ink pen with you, because I think people are going to be asking for your autographs. Thank you very much.
So
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan.
Thank you
Very much.
Well, I'm glad we didn't jump over that. 218.18 is citizens' comments on agenda items. Are there any comments on agenda items this evening? Any comments on agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on. Pardon me? We'll move on to the consent agenda, 219.18. Do I hear a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Moved by Ms. Walker to approve. Support?
I support.
Support by Ms. Hines. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Neal?
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Neal, yes. Karen Liddell,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
The record reflects 7 yes.
Motion passes without dissent. Next item on our agenda is 220.18, the review and approval of human resources items. Ms. Simmons.
So actually, this item is supposed to be into the consent agenda. We have decided before that we wanted director level and up. This was a mishap that the supervisor position was put in here separately. So we can definitely take a vote on it, but typically we would not. We only have director level up unless the board president wants something different.
Mr. President, I was
Yes.
supposed to, in the beginning, I was supposed to have us move it to the consent, and it slipped my mind.
Does it require approval, Dr. Holt?
It requires approval minimally in consent. We have to approve the person for this position. So at this point, we'll have to do a roll call vote because it wasn't put into consent. But I'm just illuminating for you why
Yes,
our
yes.
supervisor's on here, and it was just a mishap in communication with ECGR.
Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Moved by Ms. Walker, support. Mr. Buckaloo, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Neal, yes. Ms. Liddell,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
and Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Let the record reflect 7 yes.
Motion passes without dissent. Next item, 221.18, is the review and approval of business, services, and finance items. Ms. Witt.
Good evening. I am requesting board approval to purchase 2 Jacobson HR 700 turf mowers. The quotes are attached in the board packet. The turf mowers will be used in the maintenance and operation ground department. This purchase is being made via the National Joint Powers Alliance Cooperative Agreement. These mowers will replace 2 1998 Jacobson HR 5,111 turf mowers, which are unreliable and very expensive to maintain and operate. Tony Spizak has also entered a memo on the cost analysis of the 2 mowers we'll be replacing. The 2 1998 Jacobson mowers will be auctioned in the summer of 2019 to be deposited to the school as revenue.
Thank you, Ms. Witt. Motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms.
Support.
Madell, support by Mr. Weaver. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Neal, yes. Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
and Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Let the record reflect 7 yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda, 222.18, representative designations to the Wayne County Association of School Boards for the year 2019. The question is, would the representative of 2018 like to continue in that role?
I
you've been very
can
active.
continue.
Okay. Mrs. Madell would continue serving. We're very grateful for that. Does it require a vote by the
No.
board? Okay.
It's
And
just
also representative to the Michigan Association of School Boards for 2019.
Since I serve on the board of directors, if you just want me to be the representative for that, that's fine. It's up to you, Mr. President.
Yes, I would, and I'm grateful. We'll let the record reflect that Mrs. Madell will continue serving on the Wayne County Association of School Boards, and Mrs. Walker on the Michigan Association of School Boards. And thank you. Item number 223.18 on the agenda is the designation of the official newspapers for the district, Observer and Eccentric newspapers, the Telegram newspaper, the Journal, and the Wayne Dispatch. Superintendent Holt?
So with this, we're asking for a recommendation or a recommended motion on the newspapers that you just outlined to be considered our newspapers of record for the Wayne Westland Community Schools.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, support by Mrs. Hines. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Neal, yes. Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Let the record reflect 7 yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Item number
Can I
22.
say something, please?
Please.
Knowing that the Observer newspaper is having issues, that's a nice way of saying it, that they have let go, in addition to their last cuts of reporters, they have cut again. And getting coverage from this newspaper is going to be extremely difficult unless we submit the articles and there is room for it. I know the readership has gone down, and this is causing some of the issues that they are having financially. There is another paper that is out called The Marketplace, I think. Oh, yeah. And
Don
from
Nicholson.
what I understand,
Yeah.
it's free, you know, for people to do some advertising in there as long as you're a community-based organization, that we might want to investigate including them on our newspaper list for maybe this year or even next year for sure, after we've had a chance to look into this and see if this is a possibility.
Okay.
I can definitely do that. I'm not sure if it's free, but I definitely, because Marketplace is Don Nicholson, correct?
Right.
I believe
and
so.
He mentioned today at Coffee with the Legislators that it's free,
For us to, okay.
so.
Well, the paper is free to obtain, but is it free to place an ad in?
He says it's free for local advertising.
Well, that's a great
That's why I
suggestion,
said, this
and
is something we're gonna wanna investigate to make sure that I heard him correctly, but this is what was stated.
okay.
Okay, well, I will definitely investigate it. That wasn't my understanding, but I can definitely investigate it if that's what the board desires for us to move forward, is to investigate at the addition of Marketplace.
Yes.
Is that something you want me to bring back to another board meeting, or I can talk to you, Mr.
Well,
President?
I was pleased that we have a number of newspapers that we do, because as Mrs. Madell said, some of them have limited readership and some don't go into all of the school districts. So I was happy about that and would be pleased if
We can look into
our
something.
information could appear in there. It's a
Got it.
it's a popular newspaper as well, so, thank you, Mrs. Madell. Next item on the agenda involves the representation of the legal firm for the Board of Education. Item 224.18, Dr. Holt.
So we resolve that the Board of Education approve the following legal counsels. I'll just read the law firms, and then you can look at the description of services. We have 5 law firms that we currently work with: Clark Hill, Lusk Albertson, Troon Law Firm, Kelly Cawthorn, and Miller Canfield for various services that you can see there in the description of services. You can see that we are expanding the labor to also include Troon, just in case, since we are going into labor negotiations and we want to be able to juxtapose different thoughts on that. So we're asking that the board approve these 5 firms for us to work with as legal counsel.
Thank you. Do you hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Weaver.
Support.
Support by Mrs. Hines. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mrs. Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Neal, yes. Mrs. Madell?
Yes.
And Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Thank you. And all firms have represented the district for many years and been exceptional law firms for us, so we're very grateful for their work.
And Mr. President, the record reflects 7 yes.
Thank you. 224.18, the Head Start Monthly Report. Ms. Madell.
The information for November and December Head Start Monthly Report has not yet been finalized, so therefore you have not received it. Hopefully you will receive that in February.
Okay.
There are openings in their programs, so if you are interested and you qualify, please call them tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. The next item, 225.18, is the signing of the mission statement. As you can see, the Board of Education has a mission statement. It's posted on the back wall, and members of the Board of Education signed it. Do we have a mission statement to sign tonight? Additionally, these mission statements appear on the back of our agenda. They're on our website. And it reads as follows. As Wayne Westland Community Schools Board of Education trustees, we are accountable to uphold our commitment to provide the best education for our students' future. We will accomplish this through fiscal responsibility and by supporting all facets of family and community with the utmost respect, integrity, and transparency. Try to keep coffee out of it.
Utmost respect.
Easy to keep the coffee out of it.
Yes.
How many went? Wow. Thank you all. Thank you, Tamara. Next item on our agenda this evening, 226.18 is the superintendent's report. Dr. Holt.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, thank you all for being my Board of Education. I'm excited about the changes. I'm excited that we'll be able to move forward. And most of all, I'm excited that we're going to start to see improvement in our scores for student achievement here in Wayne Westland. We know that the work we're doing right now is the right work for children. Now the next step is to ensure that we all remember the goals that we have set, not only for ourselves, but also for our students that are entering our system. Every single school has a student achievement goal in the areas of English language arts and mathematics for every grade level. It's important at this time of the year because it's the new year, and oftentimes at the beginning of the year, we all want to get revitalized. Oftentimes that includes a goal to lose weight or gain weight or eat better, exercise more. And I would say, how about we reinvigorate our focus on student achievement here in Wayne Westland. And so we know we have room to grow. We know we have work to do, and at the end of the day, that is what's most critical, is that we truly believe that we're able to reach our goals. We started off this year with the theme, we believe students achieve. We believe students achieve. That means that every individual must believe that they are capable to accomplish the tasks that are set forth with respect to student achievement. If you don't believe that your kids can make it, you've already set yourself behind. I truly believe that every teacher in every classroom, every bus driver, every food service worker really does know what to do with our kids, and oftentimes it's just allowing the time to pass by for us to improve in what we need to move forward. But we have to first start with a belief. We have to believe. And if we don't believe, our students won't achieve. So at the end of the day, do you believe in the goals that you have set for yourself? Do you believe in the goals that we have set for our children? Do you believe in what you know you are capable of? If the answer to all that is yes, you've already won half the battle. If there is any sort of trepidation or anything with respect to that, I would seek out and beg you to ask for help. Ask for help. There are people there to help you, whether it's in your classroom, whether it's on the bus, whether it's whatever your position is. There are those of us who have walked those in those shoes that can definitely help and support. So if your belief is in any way wavering, I would ask that you reach out to your instructional coaches, reach out to your climate and culture coaches, reach out to your parent liaisons, reach out to your directors at the district office level, reach out to your assistant superintendents, reach out to me as your superintendent, because at the end of the day, we do have what we need to move forward, but we have to believe that this is possible. We must believe we're able to improve our test scores in mathematics and English language arts. It all starts with our belief in one another and our belief in our kids. I'm not saying we have to agree, and you'll never hear Shelley Holt say we all have to agree on everything, but we all do have to believe. We have to believe it's possible, and I do believe it's possible. That being said, I just want to remind everyone about the goals that you've set with respect to student achievement, and that we do have our MAPS assessments, our NWEA MAPS, which is an assessment of progress towards our goals. Keep in mind, this is not a diagnostic assessment, nor is it an assessment that actually assesses the standards that are actually being taught at the time. It really is just a checkpoint assessment to say, how are we progressing towards our goals of student achievement? Then we use that information to inform our instructional practice. There are several reports that come out of NWA MAPS. So as parents and community members, it is really critical that we talk with our kids. And yes, I'm having the same conversation with mine. I had the conversation with mine right before he took his assessment, and he was able to go up 20 points. And keep in mind, we look at 2 to 5 points of RIT growth being considered on grade level. My youngest son was able to grow 20 points just between fall and winter. And I have to think that some of the conversations that his teacher had been having with him about, you can do this, you have got it, you know, we believe in you, and some of the strategies she was using were able to move him on that trajectory. So that shows that our kids can do this. And as this next round of NWA MAPS test comes through, and it should be coming through around this month, your students should be coming and saying, Mom, they told me just to study for the test, or they told me that I need to do very well. It is a computer-based adaptive assessment, meaning that as they take the assessment gets harder or easier depending on how the child does on the work as they progress. And so that really gives us a good picture of what we need to do instructionally, and our teachers and administrators are now working on various strategies on how to use that data and very quickly put it into action within our lesson plans. So that's part of the work that they did in the fall when our kids first took the assessments. Our teachers are working through that, as are our principals, and then they'll take it again. Then, for lack of a better term, the Super Bowl is in April and May when our students take the SAT and the M-STEP, or for the first time in 8th grade, the PSAT. Yes, there was another change in our assessments. So our students will be taking the PSAT in 8th grade and the M-STEP for grades 2 through 7, and then the SAT for grade 11. Hopefully, I did meet with legislators as recently as today, talking about how the shifts in all the assessments are making it very difficult for us to keep trying to hit a moving target. As a state, we need to really solidify and decide, how are we going to assess student achievement? What is the target that we're trying to hit, so that we as a school district can then operationalize ourselves to hit the appropriate target? And the SAT versus the NWA MAPS versus the PSAT versus, it's too much for us right now. So we are looking at ways on a state level that we can make those adjustments. The other piece I wanted to speak to is that we are looking at this year as we believe students achieve. Next year, we're looking at our theme being about building up, and we're going to be kind of a work in progress. So there's going to be a lot of construction happening, a lot of things happening next year. And the following year, we're really looking at our Bring 'em Home campaign. So really bringing our kids home, bringing our teachers and staff home, bringing folks back to the community to truly reinvest in our community. So that's looking a few years down the road. Lastly, as we open up this year, I would like to address the comments that were made last meeting from our UNISERV director, who came up representing the teachers union with respect to the summer school. What we actually did last year, in November of last year, we provided our leadership council with the information regarding summer school. Prior to that, prior to my arrival, the K-6 buildings were made aware by the previous administration that this was the final year of summer school. Secondary administrators that were with us did know that last year was the last year of summer school, and it was not included in our budget. In looking at our student achievement data, We couldn't continue to do summer school in the same way that that we had been, mainly because, and if you want me to, I have to pull out the data now because it was brought up. We had 300 in our smart summer school. We had 372 students enroll. However, 112 did not show up, leaving the 260 students that enrolled with only 53 students that attended every one of the 16 days. Again, that's 53 students that attended every one of the 16 days. 50 students were absent 5 or more days. It's only a 16-day program. So if I have 50 or more kids that are out 5 or more days, then I had the Mars Summer School. 131 enrolled, however, 45 never attended, and 86, so leaving a total of 86 kids. Of the 86, only 5 had perfect attendance. 20 of the 86 were absent for 5 or more days. When I look at the cost, which came out to a full amount of $336,938. When I just divide that by the 346 children that actually enrolled and attended at least one day, that works out to about $974 per kid for this 16-day program. If I take that number and I now start to look at the number of days that kids aren't there, that number starts to climb higher and higher and higher. At the end of the day, the way that we were doing in summer school at a tune of over $336,000 for 346 kids, that is not, one, it's not financially feasible. 2, we were not getting the academic return on investment, as you saw in our assessment scores. And so this has been going on for years. And so what we're going to is a model that is more site-based. And so what we did in December, which is what Mrs. Karpinski was alluding to, is we sent a memo out to the principals because they said, you know what, we haven't received anything in writing. Can we get the final say so that summer school is not happening? And around November, Dr. Townsend said, yeah, you can get the final okay. We as central office are not going to be responsible for summer school. And so a memo was sent out to the principals saying we are not going to do summer school. That does not include any of the special ed, because special ed is a totally different, out of a totally different pot, totally different situation. But we are not going to run summer school here from central office. Then the sites were instructed to look at their data, those MAPS assessments that I just spoke about that they get in the fall, and then they get them again starting in January. That's when you start looking at your data and saying, hey, I may have some kids that need some intervention, something to do over the summer school, over summer to really bring these kids in. Research tells us also that summer school for credit recovery and summer school for we're trying to kind of ramp up, or a summer bridge, you want to go for the summer bridge. The summer bridge is where you oftentimes will get more out of kids, out of teachers, to be able to move the dial forward. And I would agree with that. In my time as principal, I also did a summer bridge right before school started so that we can I was a middle school principal, so I would get my 6th graders for a few weeks right before school started so that they can get ramped up and get used to what needs to happen. And then come in the beginning of the year, they could move forward. Similar things happen with 9th grade summer bridge, and we also do something we've thought about doing something similar with kinder. This gives the school sites the opportunity to do what works best for them. And so the memo that went out just basically said, we are not going to sponsor it because at a tune of essentially $1,000 for 346 kids, it's not we're not getting the academic return on investment that we need to get. If I spend $1,000 for 16 days for a kid, they need to come out knowing quite a bit more and really being able to move the dial on moving the dial on their student achievement. We weren't seeing that. So instead, we want school sites to decide how they would like to do their summer bridge program, and letting them know in December gives them 5-6 months to plan it out, and the money goes into your next year's budget because it's in August. So they are in perfect timing to be able to do something for next school year, which we honestly encourage from every single facet to really think about what's going to work best. Who are the kids that you're looking at that need the most support? Do you have a kindergarten group where you have a good chunk of them that didn't attend preschool, so you might need to do something there? Do you have a lower end, let's say if you're 5th grade coming into 6th grade, which we won't have too much of that happening this year because we're keeping our 5th graders, but we do have we're keeping our 5th graders in elementary, but our current 5th graders will stay in 6th grade. What does that support need to look like for them over the summer if we need to? Additionally, for summer bridge for 9th grade. The challenge comes in, yes, within credit recovery. And so right now there is actually cases where we're looking at what is the district's responsibility with credit recovery, and how do we actually help our kids without essentially hurting our budget at the same time? Because our mandate is to offer the course once. If a student, for whatever reason, isn't doing well, we need to look at why they're not doing well, because oftentimes it's not just taking the course in an online that's just going to work to get them the credit. There's a reason that they didn't get it the credit the first time, and we need to investigate a little bit more about why that's happening. So essentially, providing that memo to the school principals, and again, this memo went directly from Dr. Townsend to the principals to begin to have that conversation with their leadership teams, which is in complete alignment with our contract. It's complete alignment with everything that we're supposed to do, and that's why it went to principals to start off with, so they can begin to have those conversations right now. So the timing is literally spot on for everyone to begin to do their planning for summer school. But I just want to make it very clear, there was a reason why we got out of the summer school business. That decision was made back when Dr. Harmala was here, and it was a valid decision based on the data that we have. This summer showed no difference than any other summer from before. So we need to really think deeply about, if we are doing a summer school program, what does it need to look like to truly see the academic return on investment and see the improvement in student achievement that we want to see? So hopefully that answers any questions. If not, I definitely can put all of that into a beautiful memo to hand out to folks. But the summer school issue is one of really looking at what is best for kids under our current regime, and figuring out how we can also ensure an opportunity for our teachers to get a little bit of extra time for our students. I do know that several of our schools are looking at doing like a summer bridge or some kind of opening thing in the beginning of August for their incoming students, because as you see in our data, we have very clear dips on the transition years. The dips happen in 5th grade. I mean, the scores just drop. Then they happen again, it's between 7th grade, the scores drop. Then you see another drop at 9th. So it gives us some benefit to look at what we can do for our incoming kinders, what we can do for our incoming, this is a bit of a kooky year because of the 6th grade, but what we can do for our incoming middle schoolers, and then what can we do for our incoming high schoolers at the beginning of a semester to begin that trajectory. With that, I say Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome to 2019. I almost said 2018 now. Ooh, welcome to the past. Welcome to 2019, and I look forward to everything we have moving forward. Excellence is the expectation. We believe students achieve. Thank you.
Dr. Holt, on behalf of the board, thank you for your kind comments. We're thrilled that someone with your passion and your focus is at the front of this. Thank you so much for all your hard work.
Thank you.
And for
And I
not
gave
leaving
you
the
guys.
53 aside.
And I did give you guys today a copy of the board update that goes out every week. I gave it to you in hard copy so you could kind of see the meat that's in that. The first couple of pages of that are what you get emailed to you each week. So you can see there, like the first couple pages that you're looking at, Ms. Hines, that's the actual board update. Everything following that is attached in your board update. Those are my reports I receive, and I usually write on them, and you'll get a copy of the feedback that I give to the various departments. But in the midst of that feedback, you're also getting the same information. So as you look at your board update, and I know this is not for the 6 who have been here, this is more for Mr. Neal, who's just coming on, the board update pages, which are the first few pages, are what's going to be emailed. Everything else will be linked in there, and you can have access to literally everything that's happening, any documents. We tend to be a very transparent office of the superintendent because we want you to know everything that moving forward. And we usually have 2 meetings. One is the board president, vice president. The other is with the rest of the board members the day after. So if we want to shift that structure, we can.
No, I think we'll continue to do business just that way.
Perfect.
The accommodating work schedules, what have you, as
Yeah,
need be.
we do one in the for the meetings after the meeting with the board president, just so that the public knows. I meet with the board president and vice president once a month. Then after that, the day after, which is usually a Tuesday, I meet in the morning with the group and in the afternoon with the group. In the morning, it's usually Mr. Buckaloo and Dr. Weaver. In the afternoon, it was Mrs. Hines, and before Mrs. Madison, because of the work times. But it really is whoever wants to come when. That way we all know what's happening when we come into a board meeting that Monday.
Thank you very much, Dr. Holt. The next item on the agenda, 227.18, is citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Any citizens? Mr. Griffin? Good night, and thank you again.
Good night.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Good evening, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you. Been a long time since I have stood in the back of a room like this, so I might be a little nervous. But I want to congratulate the two winners of the election, Dr. Weaver on his reelection and Mark Neal for his successful election to the board. I believe that we have a great board, diverse, that might disagree, but in the end has a motive of doing what's best for the community. And I really came here tonight for one reason, that's to congratulate the bond issue committee and all their hard work, including the co-chairman Sharon Scott from Westland and John Racy from Wayne, and the three mayors who helped us, and all the other endorsees. I don't have time to go through those issues right now, but you know, the bond issue passed, and that was a tremendous win for this Board of Education who put it on the ballot, and for Dr. Holtz who led the issue to get to that issue of passing the bond issue. Now, you know, I was on this board in 1972. We had over 19,000 students. And I was on recently. And the Headley Amendment passed. We lost $8 million. We lost $4 million more because of Snyder cutting us later. And the employees in this district took all a 5% pay cut in order to keep this district from going into bankruptcy. Actually, I liked to serve on the board. When I came on, we were in deficit. When I left, we were not. Headley passed, and the reason that we suffered because we lost 8 mills in that election, and the per pupil revenue was based on the amount of millage you levied. We lost 8 mills that day. We were just one of those unfortunate districts. We went from the middle level of per pupil revenue to the flat bottom. And then $12 million, you know, it was either the employees, and I applaud them all. They took a 5% pay cut or we'd have been bankrupt. And so they have my admiration for that. But what I see now is a future that's a lot brighter. You know, we've done 3 things that I think this Board of Education and Superintendent Holtz deserve credit. Now, we passed a sinking bond renewal, bond renewal that was there for repairing our schools. We then passed the Wayne County millage, which had failed before, and that goes credit to the individual as superintendent of Wayne County Intermediate, because he got Canton and Livonia to support it, and it passed. And then we just have recently passed a bond issue where the other one is retiring. So what I see is this district is in the best financial health that I've witnessed since Headley in 1978. And I say that with all due respect because there is an issue that I think that is going to be the biggest issue that this board is going to face. And that, after I congratulate the new board officers here, I know all of you and I respect all of you, and I think that this board that sits here will have the respect of the community, has now and will have in the future, because I believe that you have the best interests of this district at heart, and that's going to make all the difference because all the employee contracts, as I understand, are coming up this year. Now, they all took this pay cut to keep us from having bankruptcy. It's my humble opinion as just a citizen of this community, and I thank the citizens for passing the bond issue, and they deserve the credit. But this Board of Education, in my opinion, your primary concern should be getting all the contracts settled in a way that will raise the morale of the employees in this district. You know, I'm going to say them, I don't know all about the finances, but I think we need to get them back to the mean of Wayne County. Now, I don't say you can do this in a year or 2 years and 3 years contract, but I think you ought to call all these people in and ask them what they want But I think it ought to be the goal of this board within 90 days, and that may be, not achievable, but we need to settle the contracts in this school district, and we will see the morale shoot up tremendously. And in order to do that, if we shoot the morale up by settling the contracts, and I know all of you want to see this happen because I've served with some of you, and I think you understand that. If we settle these contracts expeditiously and in a timely manner, the contracts should restore their 5% pay loss. We should try to shoot for the mean level of Wayne County, which we were at one time, which is the middle, level. And I think by doing so, we can upgrade the morale that will rise dramatically in this district. We'll be able to retain our staff at an adequate level, and we've lost the beginning people because they've taken big raises in other districts. And many of them talk to me. I can't blame them for leaving. But I think we have the wherewithal to cure that. Our good employees will stay, and the health of our district will improve dramatically. All the people that live in our community want to see this happen because we all have homes and investments in this community. We've lived here many years, most of us, and we want good schools because I don't ever talk to anybody that moves into this community that talks to me about, how good is the roads here. The first thing they ask me is how good are the schools, because schools are that important to maintain a community. So my last point is this. I want to thank all the board up here, every one of you, and the superintendent, Dr. Holt, for their efforts in the past year and for the future. And I think I look forward to what the future holds. And the Wayne Westland community, I think, supports this board, and we look forward to a new successful year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Griffin. And thank you for all of your efforts on behalf of the bond committee. I'll have more comments on that later. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like, sir, please?
Hi there. I want to talk about a couple of positive things of 2018. I met you, a member, and I also did a leadership.
Sir, we're anxious for you to spend all the time saying positive things, but we'd like you to announce your name, please.
My name is Ray Schuholtz.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm
Schultz.
a self-advocate, peer mentor, and wear many hats. So I want to talk a little bit about the school that I came to last year, did a leadership, talked about my life, talked about special ed and how special ed is going to get better nowadays. Back then, in the day, people didn't understand about special education. People have been bullied. People have been picked on. Oh, no one can't do anything. Well, that's not true. I'm living a life today, and I'll tell you how I'm living that life today. Mental health. Mental health is as important. I'm going to talk about it. Because the recovery book that I've give you, and I'm going to give you a new one coming up this year. Giving it to the police department, the courts. It's important because let's say someone who's in trouble needs help, needs somewhere to go. So that's where this recovery book comes from. I'm also on the board of the authority in Detroit, where there's mental health down there. I'm on the leadership board. I'm one of the chairs of that board. I'm also on the recipient rights community board, where we look at appeals and grievances when people complain, or staff, or people we support, which I feel great being on there. I'm also on the Disability Concern Board as the chairperson. And I'm also going to be getting an award for a youth group assistance program this year. I'm nominating of my life, how I'm living out in the community, driving the car, going to work every day, going to these meetings, and it's important to me. This is my passion. And I'm willing still to work with you as a leader. Well, I wanted to say thank you for listening.
Thank you for your leadership and your courage, sir. We appreciate it greatly. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board this evening? Nobody? Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on. Review and recommendations of the Board of Education. Mr. Buckaloo?
Thank you. I jotted down about a page worth of things that I wanted to bring up today, but I did.
I noticed.
But most everything I wanted to say has been said, either by Dr. Holt or by my good friend Trav Griffin. I want to congratulate our two kind of new board members, Dr. Weaver for winning another term, Mr. Neal for serving your first term now. I look forward to working with you, sir, and to continue working with you. This is a new year, as has been said, and we have a couple of things that, well, we have many things that we need to do as a board, and two of the things that stand out for me are to continue, as our mission statement suggests, to provide the best education for our students as we possibly can. That's something that we're going to have to continue working on as a board, and I think that begins by supporting Dr. Holt. On first glance, the idea of canceling summer school doesn't appeal to me until I hear some of the data that you have that supports that reason. We need to be fiscally responsible as we go ahead and try to improve the education that we deliver to our students. So I support you in those efforts, and that will be a part of the board's charge moving forward. We have a wonderful bond, as Mr. Griffin referred to, $158 million. We're going to be spending that over the next 4, 5, 6 years. And it's going to be one of the things that this Board of Education has to take on, which is a role of oversight as we spend that money, to make sure that we get dollar value for the money that we spend, to make sure that we keep in mind the desires of the community that voted in support of that millage. We want to make sure that we keep their needs and their desires in place. And of course, before we think of anything else, we have to make sure that the money that we spend, the changes that we make, promote the educational quality that Wayne Westland offers. The idea that this is a contract year, not just for our teachers, but for all of our employees, has been brought up. They've made sacrifices over the past, and we need to do something to recognize the sacrifices that they've made. I think that we need to make sure that we provide all of our employees with a fair contract moving forward. And at the same time, we need to be somewhat self-serving. We need to bring our salary schedule up to a point where we can be competitive with surrounding districts. We can't continue to lose quality educators and bus drivers and other people to districts that are paying a little bit more. We just simply can't afford to do that. We can't deliver educational services unless we have the people capable of doing that. And so that's something that I hope that this board can support administration moving forward on. So with that, I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Buckaloo. Ms. Madell?
Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. We survived the holidays. And I'd like to say thank you to the outgoing officers and congratulations to the incoming officers. That holding an officer position has a lot of moving parts and little nuances that you don't always know about until you're into it and you're going, oh, nobody told me about this part of the job. But it's kind of like being a board trustee. Nobody tells you exactly all the little moving parts to the job until you're into it. But I'm sure you will catch up soon. And I want to thank Wayne County RESA for their support and recognition, and also to our superintendent and staff for recognizing the work and effort that we put into this job. The drama club, the enthusiasm that came out of those students is the enthusiasm that I saw on the stage when they did the plays. And I am so proud of all of our students. It doesn't matter what it is that you do, whether it's just study hard, or whether you're on the field playing a sport, or you're in the marching band, or playing a string instrument on the stage, or performing in a play.
I am so proud of all of our students and their capabilities and an ability to shine at a school board meeting to show us that they are loving what they do. Mrs. Walker and I had a chance to participate with Dr. Holt and a few of the staff also from central office in the forensic science class this week over at Wayne Memorial. And we were put in the position of judging how well the students had done in recognizing who killed Santa. And so we got a chance to see their evidence, listen to them, and listen to how they formed their conclusion as to who the guilty party was, and got a chance to ask some questions of the students, how they derived their decision and whether they had considered other aspects of the crime. So again, our students were outshining each other in their capabilities of using logical thinking skills and putting to use the science skills that they had learned in that forensic science class. Today I missed my bored husband here at coffee with the legislators. Somebody must have been sleeping in. 9 o'clock does come around early, but I got a chance to meet with the new representatives for our area in the form of Kevin Coleman, who was there. Of course, Glenn Anderson is a perennial person to meet with, and Erica Geis, who is the new state senator, who has taken the position that Senator Hopgood held as he was term limited out. And got a chance to listen to them. There were a couple of city council members there also, and had a chance to listen to what's on the horizon, because they're just beginning in their positions and seeing what their hopes and aspirations are for this coming year in the legislature. So it'll be interesting to watch and see what our state is able to accomplish this year, and hopefully education is right there at the top of the list, because we need their constant vigilance and support in what we are trying to do with our students. So again, congratulations. Congratulations to our drama students and our pledge kids, and let's have a good school year.
Thank you, Mrs. Mendel. Mrs. Walker?
Thank you, President Cox. I just want to say welcome to you, Mr. Neal.
Thank you very
I look
much.
forward to working with you. I want to say congratulations to all the officers. I know you guys will do well. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for allowing me to serve as your president for the last 2 years. It was an honor and a privilege, and I really, really didn't take it for granted. And I appreciate you. And that'll be it.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Dr. Weaver?
Thank you, Mr. President. First thing I'd like to do is thank the officers that have been working so diligently for the Board of Education. I'd also like to thank them for their service, and also say congratulations to the new board officers that were elected this evening. Also want to take the opportunity to say that as I have examined the evidence, and we have heard that evidence tonight, that I applaud the summer bridge type initiative. I think it makes sense for our students and makes sense financially for our district. Also, as been said, I agree with my good friend Trav Griffin on his comments concerning our employee contracts. We are going to have to be very diligent in that, and I hope this board will take a lead role in ensuring that happens. I think that is the wish of the superintendent and the wish of our negotiating team, and we wish them well, and we want to, we certainly want to see some progress there. I want to conclude by saying tonight that while I do not agree with all methods, that I support Superintendent Holt. I want her to be able to govern with equity. I want her to be able to lead this district and move forward. So I just want to leave that at that and let her know that I certainly support her efforts, and when I disagree, I will poke her with a stick. And you know, that's my job. It's not, you're not elected by the public to always say yes. You're elected by the public to govern and to make sure that everything happens and works the right way. So I did want to say that tonight, and I yield back the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weaver. Mr. Neal, welcome.
Thank you. Well, let me start off by saying that I feel privileged to be part of this board. I know you've all done wonderful work, and I look forward to working with all of you to make a success of the board, the school system, and all that we're trying to do. And I wanted to thank my mother and my sister who've left because my mom is getting ready for her cousins to come play cards tomorrow, and she has to hurry up and clean the house.
Understood.
But nevertheless, they were here, and I very much appreciated them being here to support me. My wonderful daughter who did the oath for me, my grandchildren, Xander, Dominic, and Sierra, 3 of my 11 grandchildren for being here. Diana and Dan for coming. Councilman Landau, thank you very much. And my friend Trav, thank you for your kind words. A former boss, Mayor Trav Griffin, I thank you very much. It's good to see you here, Trav. Because I am new, I thought it would be worth saying a couple of things about what I think my focus might be. And of course, along with all of you, I know my job is to make sure that we provide the best possible environment for our students to learn, and our teachers to teach, and our therapists to do their job, and everyone to do the job that we expect of them. I expect that we'll have the best curriculum, the best technical training that there is to offer around. I'd like to be part of making that happen. I also recognize that the employees in all their categories, the teachers, the therapists, the transportation, all of our employees have taken a hit in the past. I do want to see them come up, not just a couple of percent. I would like to see them rise. I think a lot like Trav Griffin in this regard, in that I'd like to see them regain their former stature as far as their standing as compared to other schools, so that we can stop the bleeding, stop losing employees to other districts. My niece is a teacher in Plymouth schools, and you know, without me asking, she asked 3 of the Westland teachers that have showed up there to work why they got there. And it's very obvious to me that we need to do something about money and benefits, or else we're going to keep losing people like that, good people, to other districts. I also am very much interested in security, and I'm talking about security of our students from the bus to the hallways to the classrooms, and not just the students, but our staff as well. And I would like to see a focus in those areas, and I know that we're going to be talking about that. I want to be part of making that happen and have better, safer schools. I have heard comments from people about their concerns, and I'd like to be part of a better, more secure school system. And then lastly, my support to you, Doctor. I know that I wasn't here to do the evaluation, but it's very obvious that all of you have ranked our superintendent extremely high. And I want to do everything I can to support what you do, because if you succeed, then we will succeed. Our students will succeed. So I want you to know that I'm here to support you in everything that you do in every way that I can. I thank you all for your kind words and your greeting today, and I think I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Madam Vice President?
Hi, I'd like to thank the Pledge kids today for their awesome Pledge of Allegiance. We definitely appreciate that. The drama team, that was fabulous. When I was in Upward Bound, we were able to go to Miss Saigon, and those cultural events really, shaped me as an adult, even being able to go to see Phantom of the Opera. So those are very important to make sure we continue those programs for our children. Dr. Holt, I'd like to say great job with the Bridge program. I'm really looking forward to working with you any way we can with that, because when I talked to you, I was concerned about it. So thank you so much for giving me the data, the numbers. That really helped out. And for the community, I'm so glad that you spoke up, so that way they can see exactly, what's been going on in the district. And so we just have to figure out, like, what's happening in between to cause these kids not to show up. Because I know some of the programs provide buses. So we just have to but you're doing so fabulous with that. I'd like to thank you too, Shauna and Carol. You guys have been my inspiration. You've done such an excellent job. And we just want to take the time to turn some things around a little bit and as a new people come up and be able to take those torches. As we all have to have opportunity to grow. So thank you so much for all of your guys' help for that. And Mr. Neal and Mr. Weaver, congratulations again on your reelection. And one more thing, I met with Mr. Gray, and it was one of the directors that was in charge of 21st century. And we thought about something, how we need to get more alumni more involved with our children. And personally, I would, like anybody who went to Saginaw Valley, we're talking about maybe giving some support to our kids in high school and maybe in college. So maybe we can work on something. If we can find people who are graduates of certain colleges, maybe we can all get together and maybe support, like a mentor kid that's in college to help them out, because we notice, like in statistics, usually the last 3 or 4 years, kids drop out. So, we have to find ways to help our kids continue the torch. So, I'm really thinking about working on some type of mentoring program with alumni to come back home to Wayne Westland and really mentor our children. And that would probably help as well with the different grades, having somebody believe in them and helping them, show them the way. So that's something that we're thinking about working on. And definitely I'm looking forward to, making sure these teachers also get the pay that they deserve, because we believe in Wayne Westland. This is our home, and they need to have a fair wage as well. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Melody. Well, as Shauna, as you so often said, by the time it gets to here, everything has been said, everything that could be said has been said. But, I would like to say, you always talk about how we're a family. And what happened tonight with the change of officers is simply 7 kids, and they have 1 car to drive. And that's all that's happened. You have a board here that universally respects the outgoing officers and the job they did. And I made no secret of my support for you and the grace with which you've handled this job under some tough circumstances, and we're very grateful. I know the district is very grateful. And thank you, Carol. This is a new era for our school district. As Trav Griffin said, it's been 40 years since this school district has had secure financing. 40 years. And I think about every Board of Education and every superintendent. I go back to Greg Barrissey, and every morning he got up, the first thing he had to think about was where he was going to get the money to give the students the type of educational opportunities other neighboring districts were able to give their students. And at long last, here we are with the dawn of a new era. We're not flush with cash. We never really wanted to be flush with cash. We just wanted to have secure financing moving forward. And that's what has happened. And this board is a lot like a family that's lived through the Depression. We're going to be saving tinfoil and folding it up and putting it in the drawer. We're frugal. We don't waste money here. And I know that by Mr. Buckaloo's comments tonight, that's going to continue. There always has to be an eye on being conservative with the resources that the district voters have given us, and we will do that. But we're not just a place where kids come to learn. We're an employer. And as an employer, we have to be attractive to quality people who have a desire to give their time and talent to these kids. Superintendent Holt cannot be the only one with the drive and the determination and the focus to do this job. And the teachers and the administrators and the support people, they have to feel as though this school district is a good place to spend their career. And as Mr. Buckaloo said, not be leaving because they economically have to leave. And as you've heard, every member of the Board of Education tonight, we are universally decided that what we want to achieve is these contracts, if they can be, settled in the first 3 months of this year. And we want to, as soon as we can, under the guidelines of the money and the resources that we've been given, bring them up to the middle of Wayne County. We are already an attractive school district to work in. It's not just money that makes an educator want to work here. They do want to work here. We just have to make it so that they can work here and support themselves and their family. And we have the resources to do that. And I thank the community for their faith, as the bond passage wasn't by a narrow margin. It was overwhelmingly in favor of changing once and for all this 40-year fiscal slide that we've been in. And I thank you, Mr. Griffin, for your leadership. It seems like from the very first moment I had my very first child, Mr. Griffin was somewhere in this city. He was either on the city council or in the mayor's office or on the school board or just being there, always responding yes when you were asked to help. And the same thing can be true, said for Sharon Scott. Sharon Scott has Wayne County Community College District trustee who was busy with her own bond issue trying to pass, put it aside to help us pass our bond issue. John Racy, the mayor of Wayne, running his own mayoral campaign, set that aside to support this bond issue. There are so many people to thank, but I honestly can't think of any one individual to thank more than the vice president of the board, my friend and colleague, Melanie Hines. I'm just very, very grateful for your leadership and your untiring work. You've just blew past everybody. And as far as I'm concerned, we all owe you a great debt of gratitude. Good job, pal.
Thank you.
Really. We're so grateful for that. I'm just looking at the first time that everything can change here. And I know it will change because this is a fantastic Board of Education. And it's a fantastic superintendent. And she's got a great leadership team. So with that, let's get to work. Motion to adjourn, support? Mr. Buckaloo, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it, we're adjourned.